This program is brought to you by newscliptv.com. Make your own news. Register online and become a Newsclip TV reporter. Newsclip TV, your community news website.
Welcome back to Persistence Pays TV. I'm Lori Roudmask, your host. This show is broadcast all over the world, and if you live in a warm climate, you might not be able to relate to this. But here in Canada, in the winter, it is freezing. And if you can imagine being homeless in the winter, being outside without any shelter. Today's show, I have a very special woman that I'm going to introduce to you in a second. She has, for the last 13 years, come up with this great idea, and it's called ProjectWinter Survival. And what she does is she gets donations and puts together packages to help the homeless, help them stay warm in the winter. Because our winters are so cold, you can actually die from being outside. So I'd like to really welcome Jody Steinhauer, who's an amazing woman. Her story is fantastic. And I really want to thank you for coming today to talk to us about your project.
Well, thank you for allowing us to share it.
When I read about you on the internet and then we spoke by phone, I was so inspired by what you do. And so maybe you could just tell us where did you get the idea? How did it start? How did it all come to play?
Sure. Well, about 15 years ago, I was doing some volunteer work in the homeless sector in Toronto, Canada, and I came across a group of people who told me that one of the big challenges was sleeping bags, and I got involved with a project at the time called Project Warmth, and we provided sleeping bags to all of the homeless shelters throughout the Toronto area. And at the time, it was a great project. We'd ask people to donate sleeping bags out of their basement, but it's not like clothing. You know, once you've gotten rid of your sleeping bag because you're not camping anymore, you don't go out and buy another one.
Right.
And the project basically put itself out of business. But there was still this massive need in the homeless shelters. You know, there was 6,000 homeless people in Toronto alone a night, and they needed to keep warm. And there's a certain sector of them that wouldn't go into a shelter for various reasons. So hence, my husband and I said, this is crazy, we've got to do this. And the project was born.
Wow, that's fantastic.
And it's just about, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, and I have a heart, and it's just about basically putting a group of people together and mobilizing as a business person what we do best, and just, you know, it's really a little micro business, but the difference is instead of making money, it's saving people's lives.
Right, which is huge. And so you're going into your 13th season.
13th season, and we're very fortunate. It's a massive project, and my company, the Bargains Group, is the force behind it. And we build. Last year we built 2,500 of these kits.
Wow. And
the value of these kits that's going out there is just over $500,000 last year. And we did it incredibly with $50,000 donation. That's it. So we turned $50,000 into $500,000.
Wow.
It's a pretty good return.
That's a great return.
Yeah.
Why I was inspired, I mean, this year I've made a decision, and I hope all my friends and family understand, but I'm not going to send Christmas cards. I'm going to take the money and my business, like I do it for friends, family, business, and I love sending out Christmas cards. Mine's always the first one that gets to people. But I decided this year that in lieu of doing Christmas cards, I'm going to donate to this project because wouldn't it be amazing to know that instead of getting a card, we help people stay warm and actually help them stay alive.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
So that's why when I called you, because I wanted to know more about the project and was very inspired. So if we can, and you know, it's a $25 donation. For $25, you can support one homeless person. Right. And in that package, they get $165 worth of value.
Worth a product.
Worth of product.
And the great thing too is you also get a tax receipt. So,
yeah.
You know, $25 donation, and we're going to show you what comes out of that. The sleeping bag alone is worth more than that.
Where can you buy a sleeping bag for $25?
And the other thing is, once you've given to someone, it's not just you've given a kit. When you're sending that card out now, you've changed somebody's awareness.
Yes.
So the next time it's cold and they're walking down the street and they see a homeless person, maybe they'll think, wow, I wonder if that sleeping bag is the one that Lori got me for Christmas, and I'm keeping that person warm and alive because of that.
Wow.
And the feeling, the empowerment feeling of that is hopefully incredible for everybody.
Yeah.
We'll encourage them to think of, homeless people. They're just like you and me.
They are. So yeah, that's pretty overwhelming when you put it that way.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's just what that's how I got involved thinking. It's just, and I could tell you stories over the last, 15 years how presidents of companies that I've dealt with, suppliers of mine, have called me up from shelters and said, I never figured out why you spend so much of your time. I used to think as a business person, what is she doing? Is she crazy?
Yeah.
Doing all this work? And guess what? They called me from a homeless shelter. And this was, someone who drove a Mercedes and had kids and they're one day, ended up in a shelter. And I've had several of those stories and people said, now I get it.
Yeah.
And people that are homeless are us.
Yeah. And circumstances have just gone their way where they are where they are, and by us helping gets them closer to being indoors.
Yeah, and a solution and helping them have that little bit of hope, and that maybe gets them to the next step and gets them, off the streets into housing and into, a brighter future. Yeah. Just knowing that someone cares to give them something.
Well, and even, Project Winter Survival, it's about survival.
Yeah.
And in the winters that we have with snow and ice and freezing rain and wind, and
it's brutal.
And it is very, very cold. We don't live in igloos, for those of you who think Canada is all about igloos. We don't live in igloos, but we have very, very cold winters.
Yeah, harsh, dry winters.
Yes.
It's a tough thing.
So can you just tell us what's in, let's just go through
Sure.
And
so the kit starts off, and I want to let you know that everything on the table has been donated either from our suppliers or people like the viewers who have friends who say, I know somebody with a company who has some of that. The only thing the money really generally goes to is a sleeping bag, and sometimes to some other backpacks. So the most important thing the kit starts out with is a backpack or a sports bag, anything that's large enough to put belongings into. And remember, this ends up being somebody's life.
That's their,
This is everything they own. So when we put things into the kit that is selected, they're only the things that somebody really truly needs to survive. That's the guts of the kit. The most important thing of value to someone on the street is a very, very, very warm sleeping bag. And this year we're working with World Famous, which is a phenomenal company. And the sleeping bag is important because it doesn't go in the kit. It's got it in a stuff sack, so they can carry it like this, which is really important because these are on the street. There's a big black market to these sleeping bags. So that's that. Then we've got water, reusable, because a lot of them have access to go to a shelter, can refill that up, and it's a good sturdy water bottle, and a hot beverage. A lot of times the stores will give them, a coffee, a tea or something. Again, you have to keep hydrated. You can only live 3 days without water.
Wow, yeah.
You can live 3 weeks without food, but you can only live 3 days without water.
Wow.
So there is a bottle of water in there. And then we've got a nutritional drink. This year we were really lucky.
Oh, great.
And, it's healthy. We also have a Nutri-Grain bar.
Yeah.
A lot of times eating and a lot of the challenges, there's a lot of mental health challenges to people who live on the streets. And sugar and things to keep the energy going are really, really key. But because of the meds they may be on, dehydration is a huge increased issue. So this is why this is all important. Then we have a face cloth and a towel, which people, that's a luxury.
Yes.
Going in, they could go into a public bathroom, but just to clean themselves off, and it's theirs, right? No one else is touching it. Warm socks. Yeah. The obvious. For those of you who've ever had wet feet in the cold, it's not fun.
That's not fun.
A rain poncho.
Okay.
Now the rain poncho doubles as a tarp. So if it starts to rain, there is nothing worse than a wet sleeping bag. Yeah. So the rain poncho can be wrapped up as a tarp or used on the ground.
Yeah.
And then the other products here are all about hygiene.
Yeah.
So, there's a comb, there's shaving cream and a razor, deodorant, lotion for the body and hands, shampoo. This is another shave gel, Kleenex.
Yeah.
Can't even find Kleenex anymore. Hand sanitizer. We've got a hairbrush. Very important. Toothpaste
and toothbrush.
A big luxury. Toothpaste and toothbrush. And then what we decided to do was we put in a deck of cards to keep the mind functioning, right? To keep active, because
it's a long day when you're on the street.
It's a long day and a long night. And the other thing we've got is we've got some kind of Sudoku or crossword or word find puzzle for the same purpose.
Okay, great.
And then the obvious welcome to Canada kit, a toque, a pair of thin-solate ski gloves, and a warm winter scarf.
Great.
So there is nothing of luxury in this kit. And we're working on a solar blanket also. That's the last thing. But again, we rely on the generosity of people. So if any of the viewers are in Canada or the US, and they know of anybody who works for a company or has any of these things, it doesn't matter if they're logoed or slightly irregular, we will take them and recycle them. And chances are they're usually pretty happy because they were dying to find a place that they could turn them into to make good out of them. But they just didn't know places like us existed.
Right.
And then we distribute them right across. You know, Canada is the new goal.
And you want new things.
They must be brand new. Part of the thing with this kit is it's all about dignity and self-esteem too. And there's a challenge in the homeless sector that people will, you know, call me up and say, oh, I've got bags of clothing. You know, there are a lot of people with bags of clothing, and there are places to take those. But this project is about, you know, getting these people who are lying on a grate, who will not go into the shelter, the things they desperately need to keep them for surviving for the next 24 hours. And it's also a vehicle for a social worker to say, here's a kit. Can I get you some health care? Will you come inside? Can I get you some shelter? It's a way for them to communicate who these are the experts. I don't give these kits out. They are given out.
Exactly.
These are distributed to over 100 shelters and outreach programs across the province who are experts and who know who need them and who know who don't need them.
Right.
Homeless people I call entrepreneurs. And they have to sell things sometimes to get their next meal. But it's their trophy is living an extra day and surviving that extra day as opposed to how much money they have in the bank.
Yeah, and this kit helps them to survive from freezing, from hypothermia, really saves their lives. Getting a fresh, clean survival kit is just like, a present.
It's
a gift of life. Giving
it's
them
a gift
hope.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I know some of the viewers are going to ask, okay, from that $25, how much of it actually goes to buying this? And
well, we are very proud to say that it's the best bargain around, and $25 of the $25 goes to the kit.
Well, congratulations
Bargains
on that.
Group, and I myself finance all the back end. I have a wonderful team that work year-round. That part of their job, Monday to Friday, are these projects we work on. Everything from PayPal, the charges, to every database, all of that, we finance all of that. And we're very, we don't want to build the project where there's infrastructure. That's our goal, to keep building the project and bringing on partners, because, we want the money to go to the kits as opposed to overhead.
Yes. Okay, well, that's awesome. And all your hard work, you have been recognized as one of the top 40 under 40 business people in Canada. You've received the Canadian Woman Entrepreneur of the Year Award, the Community Award from the Toronto Board of Trade. You've also received the Kaufman Community Award. You've received the Humanitarian of the Year Award. It just goes to show how huge your heart is and how an outpouring you have for people. And, the world needs more people like you. So thank you for everything that you do.
Well, thank you, and thank you for allowing your viewers to understand how important is what we do, and we encourage everybody to get involved. So if you do want to know more or you want to help out, please visit our website, ProjectWinterSurvival.org. And if you want to find out about other projects we do a summer project. You can go to bargainsgroup.com and look under charitable projects and see about just some of the others that we founded. But we are the back end to thousands and thousands. And really, if we just make one or two people, Lori, think a little more about somebody they're walking by on the street, that's what it's all about.
And how you can help that person.
And how you can help. And you know what? The best way you can do is say hello and smile at them. It all starts there.
Absolutely. People tend to run away instead of just saying hello.
Hello and a smile is worth $1 million when you're living on the street and you're in despair.
Absolutely.
And a cup of coffee.
And a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, you know what? Thank you for being on the show. And you know, if you don't know what to buy that special someone on your holiday list, why not go to the website and buy a $25 donation, give a $25 donation, and wrap up the information in a Christmas box and give the gift of life. If you or anybody that you know would like to be on Persistence Pays TV, be sure to contact me at persistencepays.ca. I'd love to hear from you. See you next time.